All right, so with the coronavirus pandemic keeping so many of us at home for the past 6, 7, 8 months, the idea of traveling again might actually give you a little bit of anxiety, and understandably so. But a New York City emergency room doctor decided to go and hit the road and see how the rest of the country was dealing with COVID-19, giving some really interesting insight and travel tips along the way. Well, joining me now is Dr. Calvin Sun. He's a New York City emergency room doctor, as I mentioned. Calvin, thank you for being here, and glad to see you back here in New York. So about 2 months ago, you realized that it was time to get out of New York, but what made you decide to do this and document this cross-country trip, twofold for that matter?
Sure. Thank you again for having me, Kendis, and thanks for following my trip the whole time.
It's called stalking.
You know
Go on.
Whatever you want to call it, I appreciate it. Yeah, the last 6 months, I've been in a lockdown and fighting COVID-19 at the same time on my social media handles, which I've been running a travel group for the last 10 years since I was a full-time medical student. I would get messages from people all around the country, from all 50 states, and I would repost them anonymously or non-anonymously because these are people I've either known or know through someone else or trust. And it felt like I was looking at the story of COVID through 50 different countries under the same flag. And it just, to me, was mind-boggling to see like how New York was handling it in my own narrow lens, and seeing that we were able to keep it down low after 3 months of hell. And then I wanted to see for myself what was going outside of New York City. And when things were calming down, I went ahead and did just that, while also organizing a very safe, responsible, COVID-negative, COVID-free, COVID-proof travel group for the last 3 weeks.
So, Dr. Sun, let's get to it, because you traveled the country, you went in an RV, and you said there were 50 different countries, 50 different rules all over the state. What state would you say alarmed you the most in how they were handling COVID?
I wouldn't want to pick out one bad apple.
Okay, pick two.
It's generally... Yeah, I don't want to castigate it, because I do think that the good thing is the unifying aspect of all the 25 states that we went through in the last 3 weeks was that indoors mandated face coverings everywhere. Not a single state didn't have a sign. And I think I had that on my social media. I was like, oh, this state had it, this state, even the ones that surprised us. However, how much it was enforced is a different question, the culture of it. And I would say, I want to point out the Sturgis rally, which I have to credit to them. They didn't bother us, we didn't bother them. They were very respectful and kept their distance. But there were mass gatherings there, and how much it was enforced in the states that had the Sturgis rally, I think South Dakota to Wyoming, was a lot less than places like New York or California, or parts of California. And it is what it is. It's just, that's the observation. And at the time, we saw that, but we kept safe in our RV, so we were okay with that. So that's what was different.
Do you get a sense that hotels are doing a better job at making sure that everything is sanitary, or hotels versus Airbnbs?
Yeah, we stayed, so once we finished our RV part of the trip with the first half, we felt a little more comfortable, so we went to an Airbnb apartment, and that was okay too. Hotels was the next step, and that's the thing we ended on when we finished our Pacific Coast Highway itinerary. And we only chose the hotels that had really good ratings and was well reviewed in terms of how well they were keeping people safe. Okay. And all of them had barriers to protect the service staff from us when we were interacting. And also they were enforcing crowd control. There was no mass gatherings in the lobby. But that's within your control. If you see them, I had contingency plans to just go to a different hotel if I saw that. Okay. They were just having large crowds. So that was okay. We also know that COVID can live on surfaces, but the data is showing that it doesn't live, there's not enough of a viral load to create an infection. So that gave us more reassurance. Plus, more than half the group were healthcare workers. So all of us have been exposed. And then finally, the fact that some hotels actually mandate no one stay the night before. So all that kind of came together in this general feeling consensus that hotels are pretty much safe depending on the hotel that you choose. It's not just choose a different hotel. Not a lot of people traveling right now.
No, I have noticed that in a lot of hotels that I've stayed at in the last couple of months, that they would block off a day for people to do some cleaning. I got to leave it there. Dr. Calvin Sun, appreciate your time. And from a unique perspective of a doctor who traveled the country during this era. Thank you.
Thank you.
The latest